On the above, I shall only observe that no snare had been laid, either on the part of His Majesty's government or mine. I was placed before Rochefort for the open purpose of preventing Bonaparte from making his escape from that port, and the exertions of myself and those under my command had been so completely successful that the intention of forcing past the ships under my orders, as well as every other plan proposed, of which there appear to have been several, were abandoned as utterly hopeless. And so far was I from seeking communication with Napoleon that all the flags of truce proceeding from him were strongly reprobated by me as improper, except in extraordinary cases, and were only resorted to when, as appears from Lord Keith's letter of the 23rd of July, orders had been sent from Paris for his arrest, and when, as has since been proved, one or more intimations had been given by the officer commanding the Isle d'Aix that, if he did not depart, he would be under the necessity of detaining him. Besides, it is now perfectly ascertained that the determination of repairing to England was adopted at a consultation held by Bonaparte on the 9th of the 13th of July, when his letter to the Prince Regent was written. As Messieurs Lescazes and Lalemant was sent on the morning of the 14th to discover if I would receive him on board the Bellerophon to convey him to that country. On the morning of the 6th of August, when walking the deck with Monsieur Lescazes, he, for the first time, mentioned that he understood me to have assured him that the Emperor would be well received in England and allowed to reside there. I replied, I cannot conceive how you could so far misunderstand me, as I constantly, in my communications with you, stated I could make no promises whatever, and I thought my orders would bear me out in receiving him on board and conveying him to England, but even in doing that, I acted very much upon my own responsibility. You questioned me frequently as to my private opinion, and as I was quite ignorant upon the subject, I could only say I had no reason to believe he would be ill received. It did not, however, require my assistance to raise the hopes of those about Bonaparte respecting the manner in which he was to be received in England, as one of his followers, on the passage home, asked me if I thought the Prince Regent would confer the Order of the Garter upon him. If there was any misunderstanding, which I cannot allow to have been the case, Monsieur Lescazes has himself to blame. When he came on board the Bellerophon for the purpose of treating, he concealed his knowledge of the English language, which, as I had considerable difficulty in expressing myself in French, could only be intended for the purpose of throwing me off guard, that he might take advantage of any expressions that fell from me or the officers I had always present at our meetings. Even after he was on board with Bonaparte, though he acknowledged he could read English and always translated the newspapers for his master, he affected not to be able to speak it. What his actual knowledge of the language was, the following extract of a letter from a friend of mine on board the Northumberland, dated at sea, August the 22nd, 1815, will show. I do not know whether Lescazes ever let you know that he could speak English, but this I can assure you, that he speaks it very near as well as Madame Bertrand, and can hold a conversation or maintain an argument in it with as much fluency as she can. This forenoon I had a long conversation with Bonaparte. He complained bitterly of the conduct of the British government, and entered at considerable length into a state of his affairs, when he determined upon the measure of repairing on board the Bellerophon. There still, said he, was a large party in the south that wished me to put myself at its head. The army behind the Loire was also desirous of my return. At 10 o'clock of the night before I embarked, a deputation from the garrison of Rochelle waited upon me with an offer to conduct me to an army, in addition to which the troops that were in Rochefort, Bordeaux, and Isle d'Aix, amounting to 12,000 men, were at my disposal, but I saw there was no prospect of ultimate success, though I might have occasioned a great deal of trouble and bloodshed, which I did not choose to take place on my account individually. While the empire was at stake, it was another matter.